Okay, morning guys. This is your first lesson on Scratch programming today. You'll be using the Scratch online editor, so if you haven't created an account yet, please refer to my previous assignment I gave you, and you have to set up that account using that video. Okay, the aim of today's lesson, guys, is to learn basic skills and familiarize yourselves with block coding using Scratch. Your objectives are that you must be able to find your way around the online editor. You must create a letter sprite for each letter of your name, and you should be able to get each letter to perform a different sort of animation, whether it's changing color, etc. So, to get started, you must click on the link that I've supplied in the assignment, go to the online editor and sign in. Then follow the instructions in the rest of this video to get yourself started. So, once you click on the link for Scratch that I've given you, you need to find the Ideas tab at the top and click on it. What you'll see then is exactly what I have on the screen here. If you scroll down, you will find loads of activity guides, which in the form of tutorials and have videos on them. And if you click see all tutorials, they will have everything you need to become a good programmer, good with code. So the one we're going to click on first today, and we are going to do two today, is getting started. So click away. So what we have now, it's opened up the design pane for you. Now, if you haven't seen this before, the expanse here, okay, is where you drag your coding blocks to. All the blocks are on the left hand side here. Each block has a specific color. So if you're never sure, or you see a code that you don't know its whereabouts, just look at the color of the coding block and then match it to one of these and you can go hunting. So let's play the video. I'll put it in mid-screen for you.
With Scratch, you can make your own stories, games, and animations. Let's start by grabbing a move block. We can click the block to run it. There are many other blocks to choose from. Check out the different categories. Let's go to the sound category and grab a play sound until done block. I'll snap this onto our move block. When do we want these code blocks to run? Add an event block on top to start the code. I'll add the when green flag clicked block. You can easily reorder or delete these blocks at any time. Add as many characters as you want to your project and code each one. Check out the tutorials page for ideas and inspiration.
Okay, so to start coding for this one, guys, you click the next arrow here and it'll ask you to move. So we'll get a move block from the motion blocks here and we'll drag it into our pane. Now as you can see, you've got to make sure that your sprite that you want to move is selected. Otherwise you'll have a different sprite move when you add them. Next, what you've got to do is, for this one, it's asking you to drop in a say hello block for 2 seconds. Now the color of the block is purple, so we'll go to the looks and there it is, and we'll drag that across and pop it under so it fits in place. What we can also do, like it done earlier, is if you want to put the sound one in, you can pop that one underneath. If we click the next arrow, it'll ask us to click on the events blocks and then when flag clicked. So there's our code, and if we try it now, there we go, and it's finally played the meow sound. Now what I think is happening there is that if we move the meow sound up and the hello sound, leave it where it is, we might have a different effect. There we go. Because the move sound is up for 2 seconds, it would be a little bit useless putting that one there, because then it would have to wait 2 seconds before it moved, and you can see the order of the code moving. Okay. And it's actually moving the 10 steps then 2 seconds later. Okay, but that is just a simple way to get your sprite to move at the beginning. Okay, and that's the first code I want you to do. Now once you've done that, you can click on the Untitled bar up there and you can call it cat move and meow. I think that'll make sense. So that should save it there. File, oh there we are, save now, and you're good. And that is your first code for today. For code 2 today, if you click on the tutorials button on the window you're on, and it'll save you going back through the browser. So click on tutorials, then you're back to the tutorials page. And the second one I do want to do today, because I think this will give everyone a different outcome, because everyone will have different results, is animate a name, or your name. I'll do mine for the purposes of this demonstration. So if you click on animate a name, and there what it's actually done now is brought up our old code. So what we can do, because we've already saved that as cat move and meow, I am going to delete all that code, and I'm now going to rename this as my animated name. And what we'll do already is we'll save that now, and then we should be ready to go to save it again later once we've finished. So again, here's the tutorial. Let's drag that in the middle for you and play the video again.
You can use Scratch to animate a name and bring it to life. Make the letters change color, spin, grow, or interact however you'd like. To get started, we'll pick a background. And then we'll pick our first letter. Let's remove the Scratch Cat sprite. Now, let's make it interactive. I'll make the letter play a sound when I click it. For more ideas, click the green arrow.
Okay guys, so if you go now and click the green arrow, it says for you to pick a letter sprite. So we can do that by going down here, and then you have a whole host of different sprites. Now if you scroll across the top to the letters, and then you have a library of different style letters. Now it's not going to say you can't import them as well, and if you know how to do that already then you can, but I won't show you how in this tutorial. So for mine, I'm going to pick H for Hansen straight off the bat there, and I'm going to get rid of the sprite, the cat sprite, as it said. So there we go, and I should be able to move that now around the pane. So there we go. So the next thing we need to do is for it to play a sound when clicked. So when this sprite clicked, we need to go look in the yellow events blocks. There it is. So we'll take that out and we'll pop it there neatly. Now, I'm still going to use the play meow sound because I quite like that one. You can choose whichever sounds you like from the drop down menu, and I'll show you how that works now. So play sound meow until done. Now if you look in the drop down menu, you can actually record your own sounds for it as well. So if we now go over and click on the H, that will now make a meow sound. Okay, so next we have to pick another letter sprite. So back down to choose a sprite, back up to the letters, and this time I need the letter A. Then we can move the letter to where we need it. And if you like, guys, if that seems a little too small for you, you can go to the size window here and edit that number so that the A, or the letter of your name, is a little bit bigger. Once you're happy with the size of it, we can now go back to the events code, and then when this sprite is clicked, and drag that block over. You'll notice that the pane is now empty again because we are writing code for a new sprite, not the old sprite. So if we select the sprite down there, we have that. And there's our new sprite. Okay, so what we then need to do is when this sprite is clicked, we need to change color effect by 20. So this is a darker purple, it's in the looks tab. So we need to, where it's here somewhere, change color by effect 25. So we'll drag that out and we'll see what this little tiny bit of code does. Okay, so every time we click on it, it will change the color by an effect of 25. Okay, so let's now pick another letter and make it spin. So we're going to go again back into choose a sprite, back into the letters, and then we're going to get the N from here. And that N is Tinsy Wincy, so we are changing the size of that for definite 150. And there we go. Okay, now I'm not too sure about the color of it, but we live with that for now. And what we then need to do is look at the code in this tutorial. So when this sprite is clicked, you've guessed it, it's a yellow coding block. So we'll drag that code out. Then we're going to bring what's called a loop block out, or a control block. It's the orange blocks, but it is essentially a loop. So into the orange and repeat. And there we go. So what we need it to do now is we need it to turn 15 degrees. So we go to the motion ones to move something. Turn 15 degrees. And then we need to go to a control block again. And then wait 1 second. Now we can test this again by clicking on the sprite. So every time we click it, it's going to repeat that 10 times now. Okay, so we typically have an upside down N, which is still the same way around. What we can do, however, is if we change the code a little bit, and I can now do 15 degrees back the other way, and then put a wait command in again for 1 second, we can now see that when we click on it, it's going to move like so, which is pretty cool. So you can make it kind of wobble. Now obviously I haven't finished my name here. We can go on again. So we've got another letter, and I'm going to go back now to the same sprite that I had before. So if we go to choose sprite again, letters, then we should be on S. And then I'm going to make this letter grow. I'm going to increase the size of it now anyway. So if we go to 2 there, that's a little bit better. And then we get to write the code for this letter, this sprite. So again, yellow block when this sprite is clicked. And this is quite a good task for you because it gets you to repeat the same actions, so eventually you'll get to remember it anyway. So then what we want to do is we need to look, we've got a repeat block there, so we need to go to the orange blocks, and there's the repeat. Now that this time has got the number 15 in it. So we're going to change that number to 15. And we're going to change the size by 10. Now the size is a looks one, so back into the looks. It takes me a while to find these. Change size by 10. So there we go. Now what you should be able to do is, instead of finding all the blocks all over again, you'll notice that the repeat block is back out, and so is the change size block. So you should be able to duplicate that little chunk of code and put it underneath. What we're then going to do is we're going to change that to a minus, and we'll see what happens. So at the moment our letter has gone absolutely mahoosive. So we might need to tone that back down and give it the pulse effect again. And there we go. Now then, I've actually finally finished my name. I just thought I'd show you this because there's a couple of things that you probably need to know. So I've selected the letter H, and this is the code for letter H. Now I've decided to change a few things, and I brought the repeat code block in a couple of times here. What I've also done is reduce the time to 0.2 of a second, so that when I actually click on that letter then, it'll actually shake much quicker and give me a much more of an animated and desired effect. Same for the letter A. I have now repeated that 100 times and changed the colour by the effect of 20. I've kept that the same, but I brought in that repeat block again, and that allows me much better animation, disco style. Then what I've done on the N, as you can see, the code there is turn one way, turn the other, and I've lowered the time again, and I put that in a repeat block. I've also done the same, but I've had to use 3 repeat blocks for the S. So if you can see, I click on the S, and that'll pulse now 10 times. For the E, I've decided to put that also in another repeat block. So that is going to point towards the mouse pointer, which is a new block, which should be right here in your motion blocks. And then at the end, after the repeat, I want it to go back to the way it was, so I put that at 90 degrees. So when I click on it, it should have a nice desired effect where it'll spin round wherever my mouse is, and then when it stops it should eventually go back the way I found it. So the last one, N, I haven't done anything with yet, but I'm happy with the others, and if you can do that with every letter of your name to have them do something different. Now one last thing I'm going to show you before I go is that if I click on a block, you'll notice I've changed the colour of the H from earlier. If I go to costumes and I select the area that I want to change the colour of and go to fill, I can create some wild crazy letters. Okay, and you can do that with every letter. You can select the bit you want to change and add a new colour to it with the fill background right here. Okay, what I've also done very quickly before I go is that if you go to choose a backdrop, you can pick from any of the backdrops then to place behind your animated name. What I want you to do, guys, because there's no proper way of submitting a code to me, I want you to take a screenshot. So what I want you to do is I want you to go full screen and I want you to take a screenshot of your letters and your code. Okay, so I can see them. So I want two screenshots. One screenshot of some of your code and one screenshot of your letters. If you can do a video, I'd be happy to receive that as well. But all that gets uploaded and gets put into the hand-in box. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, guys, and I'll see you soon next lesson with another couple of tutorials building on the difficulty of what we've achieved today. Well done, guys. Bye for now.